There was an episode where Andrew was speaking with Nala.
Nala. Okay.
She was a return guest, a converted Christian, and I just felt like she should have been celebrated for her newfound relationship with God, not condemned for her past. So it just didn't sit well with me because as much as I agree that she shouldn't be giving you all of this new Christian advice because this is how you've devoted your life and this is the path that you've chosen to walk down, I think that it was worth celebrating and acknowledging her for her changes.
Andrew,
I'll second that.
Andrew, before you respond, this is what she wrote precisely. She said, "I don't like how Andrew and his wife treated that ex-star. I believe a godly man would understand repentance, and a key concept of Christianity is becoming new again. Why do okay, that's something else. But Andrew, do you want to respond to that?"
Yeah. So did you actually watch that whole episode?
Probably not the whole thing, no.
Yeah. So let me explain to you what actually happened to give you some context. Early on, a lot of people were against Nala's conversion and said that she was grifting and a liar and a scumbag. And I went to bat for her, defended her publicly multiple times on very big shows and said, look, you should give this person the absolute benefit of the doubt. I'd much rather see them go down this path than the opposite path. You should give her the benefit of the doubt. When she was on the show, though, she became extraordinarily combative when we were discussing theology, and she clearly didn't know what she was talking about, right? And so as the exchange went on, right, my position to her was, as a new convert, you probably shouldn't be spouting off about things you don't know anything about. That'll actually divert people away from the faith itself. Her response to that, of course, was to be abrasive and brutal and this and that. And so I answered in kind. And I will stand behind 100% right this second that I am not about to take any theological advice from a woman who's had 50 in her mouth. I'm just not willing to do that. Now, there may be better men than me out there who will. There may be men out there who really will take advice from brand new converts who have been, but I'm just not one of them. And there's no amount of female shaming and crying and whining about it that's ever going to convince me that I need to listen to women who are brand new converts and go from the to savior pipeline. I'm not doing it. No way. And a lot of that stuff, just so you know, because I've been in this industry for a while, is designed to buy a new reputation. It's not designed necessarily to actually convert to the thing, but rather to use it as a shield from criticism in order to rebrand whatever it is you're trying to rebrand towards. And I was willing to give the benefit of the doubt until I had the exchange with her myself.
Thank you.
It was well put.
Yeah, no, I should have watched the full episode, I guess, before writing that, but that's one of the clips that went viral, so it was all over my socials and
Well,
blasted.
you have to remember that they who get to the clip first wins. And so what happened is a narrative was spun against myself and my wife without any context and without the entire episode being seen. Usually the first thing I ask a person when they try to ridicule me for this is, did you watch the episode? And guess what they say?
No.
No. And what did you say?
No.
Right. So this is why I always ask, right? The thing is like, am I an imperfect person? Absolutely. Do people piss me off if we're in exchanges and, sometimes I can become overly heated? Sure. I'm imperfect that way. But I still am just not willing. Like, try to think of it from my perspective. Like, try to imagine the men out there who, they've been working their asses off for like 20, 25 years supporting their family. And then they suddenly get their chest poked by this whole brand new crop of who just recently became Christians, who are poking them in the chest and going, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it wrong. They're like, shut up, lady. Shut up, lady. I don't need your advice. If your advice was so great and you were so great at what it was you were doing, you wouldn't have been doing all that shit to begin with. How about you work on you before you start worrying about how we're doing over here? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's that was the general idea.
Can I ask a question, Andrew?
Yeah.
Is it a disagreement or?
No. It's just a view question. As a Christian, do you feel like hatred towards people that disagree with you, or do you just wish to educate them and maybe change their opinion on things?
Well, I feel hatred towards people all the time. It's a base passion that everybody feels. I felt hatred towards people. I felt jealousy in my life. I felt every base passion you could ever imagine. The whole point of Christianity is not that you're not going to feel passions like that, but that you're supposed to control them. That is what controlling the passions is. It's the rooted foundation of Christian ethics is to control passions instead of passions controlling you. So no, of course I get angry. Of course I get upset. In fact, probably even more than I would like. But that's the point of it is not to say, oh, hey, do you have some kind of dislike or distaste for this person? It's like, sure, but your whole point is to try to control those baseline. Yeah, those baseline passions. I'm sure everybody here has been angry and upset with people, maybe even this morning when you're driving to work and somebody cuts you off and you call them, right? Because it pissed you off. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have actual hatred in your heart towards the person. I don't have any hatred towards Knowledge. She did piss me off because she promised a debate and then wouldn't do it, so I could never actually defend the position and show that I was correct. But no, I don't hate anybody.